am Pranav Nagarkar, and today we have with us Easy Wanderlings. Easy Wanderlings is a soul pop band based in Pune, and we have three of their members talking to us today. It's Sanyant Narot, Pratika, and Sia. So let's get into it. So hi guys, nice to see you finally. How are you guys doing?
You're doing good.
Thanks for having us.
Just quickly introduce yourself for the audience.
So we are a soul pop band called the Easy Wanderlings, and currently we're based in Pune, and we're an 8-member band, so pretty huge band compared to others, I think.
Number-wise.
Yeah, that's huge.
And I think most of our music is very easygoing, easy listening. I think we're known for that kind of sound, but now we're kind of digressing from that and kind of making different genres and a little bit more heavier music, I would say.
All right.
But yeah.
Great. So we have with us Sanyant, who's the lead singer, also Pratika, who's the lead singer, and we have Sia, who's the flautist for the band. So let's get into it. Tell me the story of Easy Wanderlings. Like, how did Easy Wanderlings, become Easy Wanderlings, like the 8-piece band, like an 8-member band? What is your band story?
The band story is pretty simple. I mean, so I met Malay in college. Malay is the recording engineer, and he's the CTO of the band because I took care of the creative side, and he took care of making sure that the sound quality sounds great. So we are college mates, and after we doing a masters, I met him again. And so then he was like, I know you started writing songs. Do you want to just record something? So we, unlike other, most bands who started off as a cover band, then went to, to record. We started off as recording artists than performing artists, then learned to perform it. In fact, so while after writing the songs, then I'd be like, okay, I need this kind of vocalist. I need like a lead female vocalist. And Malay was like, I knew he knows one girl who can sing, and then that happened to be luckily Pratika. And yeah, so just like that, when we needed somebody to, like a flautist, we found Sia like randomly playing in cafe in Bane, and yeah, that was literally the day we needed a flautist. Like 2 days later, we found her, and we were like, "How the hell is like a classical Western flautist in Pune, out of all places?" And so we are kind of lucky that all these people came together, miraculously, just in the right time, which is the reason why the first album is called As Written in the Stars. So we're all friends and friends of friends. Basically.
All right. So how many of you are from Pune, though?
Two.
Me, kind of. 2.5.
2.5. Yeah. So Malay is from Dhule, and Shardul is from Pune.
Okay.
And she is Mangalorean, actually. Pretty much.
I don't really have a ever since I've been in India, I've been living in Pune for the longest time. So this is my home.
So how long were you in the US again?
6 years.
6 years.
Oh, great. That's great.
Yeah, suddenly she'll change her accent and all when she talks. Yeah. She wants to act cool and all, she'll change her accent.
Nice. so like, how is the dynamic between, the 8 of you? I mean, how easy or difficult does it make to work, or come together or have writing sessions, recording sessions, and all that stuff?
I think we've got a system that works for us. Like, for example, I would create like a skeleton, come up with like a basic tune and few words, and then I probably sit with these people at some, we have get-togethers in my place, and that time I might just play it for them or whatever, and that time get to hear their feedback and then kind of refine it, and then sit with each member to kind of work on their parts, and that's how it comes together. And then we go to the jam room, and then all of us will play together, and then we'll kind of fix what's not working and then figure it out.
Are all of you full-time musicians? Is everyone?
Yes, and see, everyone's taking music seriously, but they are also doing other things, right? So, for example, like Sia is in college right now.
Studying right now. I'm studying media and communication right now, but music is like the best thing I have going for me right now. Like it's my passion and everything goes into that. So it's practically my full-time thing now, although I'm still studying something completely different.
All right.
And for example, like Pratika teaches on the side, and so does Sharad, our guitarist, and Malay. Shardul teaches. Malay is also teaching, and he's got another job. To Nitin, he's the chief engineer at the Grace Park Studio.
All right.
So everyone's got something going for them.
Okay.
And so the band is also something that I think they all consider quite, and primary thing to do.
Oh, that's like, but how much is that an obstacle? Like, your other endeavors, is it an obstacle in your work? Does it?
Not at all. In fact, I encourage it because, it's impossible, first of all, with the kind of revenue coming in to kind of just support, everybody. And second, I think you also need to step away from it to kind of get back into it, so it's good to have something else going on and keep your mind occupied with other stuff too, so that is pretty good in a way, I would say.
Yeah, that's interesting, because like there are many bands right now who are doing it full time, but as you said, the revenue is a tough ask. So that's a pretty mature approach to have. It's interesting that you have that. So let's talk about your music style. Like Easy Wanderlings, your name says a lot about it. Like so far, your discography has been pretty relaxed and chill. It's like, as you call yourself, a soul pop band. But with your last release, you've gone into funk. How did that happen?
I mean,
so I think basically, since we are 8 band members, everybody kind of has their own influences and like their own genres of music. So that way, when we come together to write stuff, it's not just the kind of music that we started out with, because everybody's influences kind of get into the songs that we're doing, and eventually we kind of end up going to a different genre or a different space completely. So if Sunny would sit with Shardul or Sia, who are the violinist and flautist, the sound would be completely different than if he would sit to compose with maybe Abraham, a drummer, or Sharad, a guitarist. So each person that he kind of sits with, the sound would be like completely different, which is, I think, something really cool, because we also don't want to just stick to one kind of genre of music. We love to explore different types. We love to really indulge in it and see where it takes us and not be kind of limited by genre.
Yeah, but for the 3 of you, like, how have your individual music journeys been? Like, how did you all get into music individually?
So I basically got into music when I was in college, and these guys kind of found me when I was in college, because I was doing like open mic nights and like cultural events and stuff, and they had a song that they wanted to record. So they called me and asked me to kind of sing on that. This is before it even became a band. And then they were like, oh, you know what? My friends are really loving this. Why don't we start a band together? So when I was in college itself, we started playing a lot of gigs, and we were invited for a lot of festivals and stuff. So I think after college, it was kind of just like, this is the natural path to go. We've already got a good momentum here, and I love music, so why not get into that? So I started off career obviously with Easy Wanderlings, and now I'm part of a couple of different bands, working with different artists, collaborating on a bunch of stuff, and
So for me, I've been playing the flute for about 7 to 8 years now. So it started when I was in about 5th grade, and then after I came here, like Sunny said, I was just so my journey was, and my roots are primarily in Western classical music. So Mozart, Beethoven, and all that. But after Sunny discovered me, and as it was written in the stars, then I kind of began my journey into this whole indie scene and learning how to play with the instruments like guitars and stuff, which I wasn't really used to. I was just sitting next to clarinets and violins, but not playing with any, like a drummer or something. So I've definitely had quite a bit of a learning curve, actually, because Western classical has this very set way of functioning, I feel. And there's a lot of freedom within it, but there's also like a path that you have to follow. But over here, I've definitely gotten the freedom to kind of play around and have more fun with my instrument. And it's helped bring out like different flavors and colors in how I play my instrument.
Okay. That's interesting. That's great. What about you, Sunny?
So I took music professionally much later. I mean, it was in 2015, that whatever. I was working as a guy who was pretty much hired to work with young startups on how to kind of go crazy with their ideas, and so that kind of create a feel. And then music was just I'd be the guitarist in every friend group who would be like, in a party, like whatever. So, but I also had this thing about I could compose, like it was very natural. I thought it was pretty for, now that I realize that it's not that common, but I just thought whatever, like was naturally tunes would just come and I could figure it out on my guitar and whatever. And so, yeah, I wrote a song when I was in the US and came back and again met Male. So, yeah, we started Easy Onlings with just Pratika, me and Male. And then slowly, I mean, it was like really fast, like the band members started growing. Then what? So I think, 2015 end, we started. And by 2016, we were already like invited to perform at NH7. So by that time, we were like, we started off as an incognito band. So till we launched the album, we didn't kind of reveal our names or anything because we wanted to make sure people discover us for our music rather than, how we look or whatever, all that stuff, and where we are from and all that. So I think our foundation kind of level we wanted to make sure that it's done right and music is the main focus. And so, yeah, after the first album, I decided to take up music full time, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, that fact about you being anonymous until the release of your first album is pretty interesting. Like, that's a conscious choice you made, which is like very unique. Why did you like not want to put yourself out?
I mean, because it was a gut feeling, man. I just felt like people should discover us for the music. They should be like, hey, who's that, rather than seeing an image and then like, I want to know what this person's up to. I want it to be like the other way. So at least that's one way to kind of identify who we are and then follow us for what we are known for. So yeah.
Great. One of your most interesting projects has been the Bajaj Avenger project, the Flyaway song. So talk about that. Tell me that story. How did that come about? Like such a huge brand, and then I saw the music video. You guys genuinely had fun in it. Like it's visible. So just tell me the story. Really interesting.
No, I think the brand manager of Bajaj, he liked the band and he liked Dream to keep us going and all. And he was like, hey, listen, we can go to any part of India and do a cool music video for a song that you guys can do. So it's like, do whatever you want. We'll do something. So for Bajaj Avenger, none of us know. I mean, literally only two of them know to ride a bike. We were like, yeah, we'll do it.
Okay.
So pretty much a bunch of losers who can't ride a bike were invited to go ride a bike and explore, Meghalaya. Then we were like, all right, guys, you need body doubles. We can't do it. So for all the shots that you see, that it'll be me like removing the helmet, but who's doing the riding is somebody else. Okay.
Oh, is that so?
But yeah.
Oh God.
And what? So basically, so it was a really cool project. I mean, I'm glad we did it. And so we got to go to Meghalaya, work with like a huge crew. Nisha Ghosh was the director. She's the one who directed Parekh and Singh's video too, the one that got really famous. So, so eventually, we were there for like 4 days, and then it was a very hectic schedule, early morning to like night, 3 days, completely packed. But we got to go to some really cool places, and And that was essentially the Wanderling vibe, so it was
exactly,
it was right. It was like super like tied in with our brand image and everything else. So
yeah, I think our band is very associated with travel and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So even
Yeah.
the brand tie-up that we really kind of encompass that, and they were also looking for that kind of vibe. So I think that was a good match.
Yeah, the music video looks like an after movie of a road trip, which is like
Yeah.
wonderful. Yeah,
Right.
the locations, and there's this shot where you have like there's someone eating Maggie, there's someone sipping tea. It's just like all in all a great vibe. I mean, I'm surprised you
Yeah.
guys didn't ride a bike this. Like, did you feel like
So
you missed out on something?
Malay and Bharat did. Sunny and Sharad did not.
So and Abraham, no, like
No, we
three.
were all in the back.
Yeah, yes.
Me
These
and
guys
Abraham
got the
were in the
pillion,
back.
and yes, they had to be cool and like shake their hands.
And these guys were sleeping in the car because they didn't have to drive
the bike. Yeah, so
Did you feel like you missed out on an experience though?
we actually caught up on a lot of sleep, so we didn't miss out on shit. So
we don't know what they missed out.
So yeah, we missed on a lot of agonizing pain with cold and all this stuff. So we were sitting in a car sleeping. By the time the sun is up, we'll get out of the car and drink coffee while these guys are still on the bike shooting. So, yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we can see the justification of their own perspectives, but that's great. I mean, the video turned out well, and it is closing in on some 9 million views now. So that is again another wonderful achievement.
We can't take any credit for that.
No, man, the song is yours.
Bajaj and its marketing, I can tell you that.
Yeah, but another song of yours crossed 1 billion streams on Spotify. So congratulations on that.
Oh yeah, Spotify, yes.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah,
congratulations on that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
How has the lockdown been for you though? I mean, I want to ask you this with complete knowledge that you were invited to play for South by Southwest. So please talk about that as well. I know it's really painful, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we were invited to go to Essex, which would have been our very first international show.
Yeah.
And we were super excited, and basically we kind of planned out a whole, almost like a tour around that festival. So we wanted to do like 15 shows other than that in and around that area.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, like literally a week before we were supposed to leave, everything was booked. We got our visa, everything was done, and finally COVID kind of hit and ruined all our plans. But anyway, nothing much to do about that. No point sitting and sulking about it. So we just got back on it and started prepping for our next album, which is happening now. And yeah, I think it was definitely difficult as a band because obviously gigging and stuff completely stopped.
Exactly.
So financially, that was also like including all the US plans and no gigs happening also. Financially, it was kind of a hit for us. But I think everybody kind of got back on the horse and really went out and did whatever they could. And we came up with a lot of cool opportunities for each of the band members. Like a lot of people started teaching, something that they've been wanting to do for a really long time, but then have been like kept putting it off because, I mean, and now they finally got to really take the time and do it. And Sunny and I did a couple of ads, composing for ads, which was the first for us.
Oh,
and
great.
Yeah, everybody's kind of got like cool opportunities because of COVID as well.
Yeah.
And kind of doing a lot of stuff which might not have happened if COVID didn't happen. So definitely a lot of pros and cons, but yeah, we're doing whatever we can. And it's not like we've stopped working. We're working on our album. We released 2 singles that will be part of the album as well. So things are happening. We're still working and it's going good.
Yeah, I mean, when I read about that South by Southwest, I was really, as a fan myself, I was really sad. Like, come on, man, that's not how unlucky someone can be. But I mean, I hope you get an opportunity soon and it happens again. But talking about festivals, like, how has it been performing for the Weekender and at VH1 Supersonic? How has that experience been?
I think, okay, so firstly for me, it's been the coolest experience because never in my life, I always thought that I'd be the one, attending the music festival to just watch it. I just never thought I'd be on the other side of it performing as an artist. So to actually witness and be a integral part of the behind the scenes process, like the prepping and then any sort of like kind of hyping up our fans and all of that, it's just been wonderful. And of course you get to meet the other artists that are our inspirations. So that's also been wonderful. Like I think Coco Loco performed at NH7 and it was wonderful to see them live. There's so much to learn from every artist, right? So I think that would definitely be another thing.
Great.
And the thing is, we, like I said, we started off as recording artists and we weren't performers. So for us, that shift was we know how bad we were, and like we're still the first year though we were ignorant because we weren't even like
I don't think we had even done like a whole gig as a band before. So, and NH7 was the first stage where we actually got to perform as a band.
So we didn't, So when you were like, how many members will come for this talk? I'm like, first of all, I haven't even seen those guys. To get them in a room itself is going to be quite a task. Okay. So basically, so we kind of have to learn how to become a good performer, and it's still a learning process. How to be engaging and all that stuff. And we are very, I think, grounded that way to kind of analyze every show and kind of figure out, okay, where we messed up and all that stuff. And so we are and we go and attend a lot of shows. Even in Pune, we're very at least before the lockdown, every Tuesday or Wednesday, we're always planning, okay, let's go watch this band. We're kind of active and we love watching, live music, and it's great when we get to perform too and tour and and we're happy to be part of something like this.
Is it difficult logistically for a band with 8 members, like to move around?
Touring, is it?
Touring, yes, performing.
It not really, man. I mean, I feel like we managed to do it. I think it's just a matter of booking your flight tickets and going, and somehow we managed to. Is it financially viable? You are not going to, at least we haven't made profits out of it, but we haven't made loss also. We've been we've managed to tour from all the way from South India to the Himalayas, just before the lockdown. We did a Mountain Valley tour. So that was I thought it was a really cool tour. And so we need to coordinate it, and I feel like we've kind of managed to figure that out so far. So let's see what the future holds.
When sometimes when there's a band that is this big, venues are also reluctant to have them because they are afraid of having to pay a lot to the band because there are a lot of members. So I asked from that perspective, do you face that sometimes, that reluctance?
No, we don't. Event? I mean, I feel like we know exactly. I mean, we kind of know what's the ballpark image for a restaurant. How much can they really afford without a sponsor? So we don't kind of try to suck out more money from them. We kind of know approximately. We feel like we can get this much and we're good. So then we do we'll space it out. We do a couple of more stuff, and then we'll see how what else can be done to kind of make up for that. And so now, and not all gigs. Some of the gigs she can't make it. Some of the gigs Shardul can't make it. So we kind of balance it out. And some gigs everybody's there. So
what do you prefer though, from the performance point of view, an indoor venue or like a club, or performing at a festival like NH7 or Supersonic?
What do you prefer?
I think definitely a festival, because our music, at least the easy listening music, I think is not completely suited to a bar where people don't necessarily know our music. So if there's a crowd that comes for our music, then it's always a great night. But if it's a venue where people are not familiar with us, then, as usual in bars, people are doing their own thing, chatting, this thing, that thing. And then when we're singing Enjoy It While It Lasts, we can hear people chatting in the back, and it's a little bit it throws you off a little bit. So I think that way festivals are definitely fun, because the crowd that comes there comes I mean, to your stage, they come to listen to you and they come to listen to the music. I mean, obviously, in festivals also, there's a lot of chatter, but I think it's definitely more for the music in festivals. And my best band, like best gig experience is at a festival, and you know, when people are there, everyone's singing your songs and it sounds amazing and it feels
yeah, exactly. In stark contrast, like during festivals, you can hear the crowd singing enjoy while it lasts really loudly with you, and it's the most gratifying experience. And also another thing I would like to add is another setting that's really nice are the SOFAR settings. They're like really small and intimate. So again, you get the kind of your fans or the audience that is comfortable with your music and really wants to listen to you. So that's another.
Yeah, for sure. I think, an intimate, like, you know, an art gallery, those kind of setup also goes well for our kind of music, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, there's this like SOFAR and now Moto Chocho Collective in Pune. They've been doing you know, these kind of gigs, which is changing the way people attend music gigs. There are more, you know, we talk to a lot of musicians and they say they prefer that intimacy with, you know, their listeners. Like they have like they can connect with the listeners sitting directly in front of them. So yeah, I mean, it's always a good experience to have. But like now when like you've been in the scene for the past 6 years, since 2015, what do you have to say about the indie music scene in India in general?
I think it's growing rapidly, especially after, like, you know, how relatively easier it's become to kind of record and release music, and also share the music and get discovered too, you know, with stuff like Spotify and all that. The number of festivals have gone up, number of venues accommodating musicians have gone up. I mean, before that is just before the lockdown. And so I think it's on a rise, and I'm excited to see what's ahead.
But do you see many bands coming up? Because, you know, the last, like this lockdown has led to a rise in the number of singer-songwriters that have come up. Or, you know, before the lockdown, there was a rise in the hip hop scene a lot. A lot of rappers were coming up. But do you see those many bands coming up nowadays?
I mean, I understand why a band is probably not coming up, because where are they going to meet, right? Where are they going to jam, right? So, which is essential for a band to kind of form, right? Because it's also chemistry, and you know, you might be the best musician and I might be also a good musician, but if we don't have that connection musically and in some way a very, you know, like a spiritual, like it's a very different kind of connection when a person jams and you kind of sync with that, and so that's a very special feeling. And you miss out on that, and that's probably why I also understand why, you know, probably the last 2 years bands are not coming up, and it's easier to collaborate with somebody you know, far away, and it's when with the producer who's already made a track and you just need to sing over it or some of that kind of stuff is more relatively doable. Or you can just get parts from different places. Okay, you play this clarinet from there, you play this, give it to me and I'll put it together. That works. But then, you know, with more of this jam scene is not happening, and for obvious reasons. Yeah,
that's true. But you guys have been independent for a while, right? You are not signed
to any major label.
And you intend to be independent?
Yeah, until we are discovered by a label that is growing and has a wide reach internationally, you know. So we are not looking for any domestic labels. So because we need somebody who's got a really strong hold internationally, because our music is also, you know, it's more, people are likely to enjoy it overseas more than over here. So we need somebody who's got that kind of contacts, and so let's see.
All right. I mean, like, then how is your, you know, like, are you managing yourselves then in terms of booking gigs?
We have a
managing
manager.
Your social media. Okay.
Yes, we have a manager. He's based in the US right now. So he kind of manages things from over there. And over here, over here, whatever I can manage, and I do it myself.
Oh, all right. That's an interesting perspective. Where do you see yourself though, like internationally? In how much time do you see yourself internationally? Do you have that in your head even as you make music?
Not really, but I know it is there. Except like last 2 years was still learning, even when everything is like piled up neatly with the red carpet, things can go wrong, right? So
Yeah,
I think right now we are doing only short-term plans, because we don't even know when the third wave is going to hit, so what is the point in me planning a Euro trip, like 6, 7, 8 months from now, right?
Yeah.
So I think until the situation is a little cleared out, we want to just focus on creating good music and promoting that and making sure that the music reaches us as far as wide as possible.
Yeah, I mean these times are really unpredictable. Even now when Europe is opening with all these sports events happening, you can see the cases spiking up again, and you never know when the world will fall back into a lockdown again. It's really
you never.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But I mean, what do you think about the indie music community in India? Not just the scene, but the community in India. Like, are there people helping out each other, looking out for each other? Are they looking to connect with each other, form or help out each other in that sense, form a community where they can grow together? Is that happening?
I think that the indie scene is definitely quite small. So I feel like everybody is trying their best to help each other and push the scene as a community, as a collective. And everybody that we've reached out to have been, quite helpful, very open to doing collabs, very open to giving you advice about something that they've done or something that they've not done, or they're always willing to talk and always willing to kind of help each other out. I mean, that's my experience. And yeah, I feel like since we are such a small community, we're all trying to push the community more all together. So that's my experience.
All right. That's nice to hear. I mean, the indie scene has grown so much in the past 1.5 years that there have, there's a chance when there are so many people, it can get competitive, and it's not always good. It can always take an ugly turn. But it's good to hear that there's a lot of cooperation and, support for the community. But like, even, for us, you are the biggest act we've had so far on the podcast. So for us, when we approached you guys and you said yes, it meant a lot to us, because we started, last year in October, and we've been rejected a lot of times because we are pretty small. So when you guys said yes, it meant a lot to us. So I really want to thank you for that. It is also some kind of, yeah, I mean, we started this to discover indie music as much as we could. And, when we came across you, we were like, we really should have these people and know them better and get to know their stories better. So yeah, thank you for, saying yes.
No, it's our pleasure, man. I feel like it's also our responsibility to kind of support people who are pushing the indie music scene. Otherwise we're just hypocrites to kind of tell like, hey, it's growing, we are part of this community and all that, and what the hell if you're not fostering and nurturing this community that is also people like yourselves who are committed towards, I mean, you're spending your weekend hours doing this, so yeah, it's we are happy to be part of this, man.
Thank you. And like, what can we expect from Easy Wanderlings in the next, in the times to come? Where is Easy Wanderlings heading?
I think, so we've got this 3 more songs coming out of our EP. So it's basically a 5-track EP, and hopefully in September we should release it. So we are currently very busy with recording our stuff, and I think that is the next goal. And apart from that, anything that happens, we have no clue. So yeah, this is the main goal right now. We've been pushing this for a while. We just want to wrap up this release and then figure out the next plans. Whether it's, if the world is safer to travel, then we can plan our tours. If not, more collaborations. So there's a lot to do.
Are you planning to, are you going to perform? Because there are a few venues that are opening,
no, man, not really. At least I don't think it's safer yet to perform. I mean, perform right now, and it's it's a weird scene. We'll have to see if the cases are really coming down.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see, but not right away.
Are you guys vaccinated?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
God. First dose.
Yeah, of course. That's all we are getting right now. So yeah, that's a really weird question to ask, but I had to. I mean, that's the vibe currently.
He's like,
now that's the vibe currently. Like anyone you meet is like, are you vaccinated? Are you vaccinated? It's like everyone's tired of wearing masks now. It's been, when you go out, it's always in your head. Something's in your head. It's tough times.
Dude, now it's just become comfortable for me, dude. I go into somebody's house, I'll be wearing the mask for the first 1 hour. Like, they're like, why are you wearing a mask? I'm like, oh shit, I didn't realize.
Oh, has that been the case?
Kind of like a normal thing. It's so weird. It's like a sci-fi experience. You leave out with the mask, and it just feels such a it'll be so weird to actually leave house without a mask.
Yeah, but for me, who wears specs, it's really tough, man.
Oh, man.
My specs fog up every 10 seconds, and I have to keep adjusting it all the time. So it's an irritating experience, but have to deal with it. I want to ask you for your recommendations. Like, which are the artists upcoming, or you like, which you want us to check out or want us to bring on our podcast, so we could let their story be known to the world?
I think you can try Sheel Saga, based in Delhi.
Right.
He just released 3 songs. I think he's got a lot of potential. You should definitely check him out. Sheel Saga.
EIL.
One of those combinations. Sheel Saga.
Okay.
I think
Anushka Maske is good.
All right.
Then who else? Anushka Maske. You could try Second Sight.
All right.
Then
they just released a track.
Yeah, you could try Second Sight, based in Bombay. Tejas, Vernon Norona.
Okay.
Tejas, Vernon Norona. Then Raghav Meatle. You can check all these guys out.
Yeah, man. Sure. So guys, thank you for being on the podcast. This was great fun. I had a lot of fun talking to you guys. You guys are wonderful.
Likewise.
And all the best for all your future releases. Looking forward to all of them.
Thank you
so much for having us.
Yeah. See you soon at a gig if possible.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Take care, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
So that was Easy Wanderlings. If you liked this episode, please leave a like. Go check out our Instagram page at For The Record India, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. So we'll keep bringing such amazing artists for you. Check out Easy Wanderlings on Spotify and YouTube. They have a bunch of music that is out, and they're really, really great. Stay tuned for more updates, and see you soon. Bye-bye.